Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to talk about sphenoid bone. And here at the side you can see the diagrammatic representation of sphenoid bone for the reference. So let's start the video with introduction. Sphenoid bone is single, butterfly or pear-shaped bone as you can see in the diagram. It is located at the base of skull, just in front of temporal bone and behind the frontal bone. It spans the width of skull and articulates with nearly every other cranial bone, and that's the reason it is also called a keystone bone. Now let's talk about anatomical parts of sphenoid bone. It includes body of sphenoid, greater wing, lesser wing, and pterygoid processes. And now let's talk about these anatomical parts one by one. First we will talk about body of sphenoid. As you can see here in the diagram, body of sphenoid is a central cube-shaped portion housing the sphenoidal air sinuses. There are air-filled cavities that open into the nasal cavity. It has a structure that is called a sella turcica, that is also means Turkish saddle. That is a saddle-shaped depression on the superior surface that holds the pituitary gland, one of the brain's most crucial endocrine organs. It also features the dorsum sellae, that is the back wall of sella turcica, and tuberculum sellae, that is the front wall of sella turcica, as you can see here in the diagram. Moving further, we have greater wings of sphenoid bone. They extend laterally from the body to form part of cranial fold, lateral wall of skull, and orbits. They are perforated by key openings like foramen magnum, that is for the maxillary nerve, foramen ovale, that is for the mandibular nerve, and foramen spinosum, that is for the middle meningeal artery. Next part of sphenoid bone is lesser wing of sphenoid bone. As you can see here in the diagram, the lesser wings are visible. They are thin triangular projection extending horizontally from the front of the body. As you can see in the diagram number 1, they form part of posterior orbit and they house the optic canal, that is a passage for optic nerve and ophthalmic artery. Further talking about anatomical parts, we have pterygoid processes. There are two downward projections from the junction of body and greater wings. Each consists of medial pterygoid plate and lateral pterygoid plate, and they provide attachment for pterygoid muscles that are important for chewing. Now let's talk about articulation of sphenoid bone. As we already said, this bone articulates with almost every cranial bone, and that's the reason it is also called as keystone bone. So it connects with 12 other bones that include frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone, and ethmoid bone, that are cranial bones, and it also articulates with the facial bones that are zygomatic bone, palatine bone, vomer, and maxilla. Its central position allows it to integrate multiple cranial regions functionally and structurally. Now let's talk about functions of sphenoid bone. The first function is structural support, as it provides structural support for the skull base and orbits. Second function is to protect critical neurovascular structures, as include the optic nerve and internal carotid artery. Third function is to support the pituitary gland, as it is key to hormonal regulation. And the fourth function is it contributes to sinus drainage and resonance for voice, as it has the frontal air sinuses, so sphenoidal air sinuses in it. Now let's talk about clinical significance of sphenoid bone. The first is pituitary tumors that are often assessed surgically through the transsphenoidal approach through the nasal cavity and sphenoid sinuses. Second clinical significance is sphenoidal sinusitis, that is rare but can cause deep-seated headaches and neurological symptoms, and it is because of presence of sphenoid sinuses. The third clinical significance is skull base fracture, as it may involve sphenoid bone and its damage to the optic nerve or cranial nerves. Now let's talk about conclusion of whole this lecture video. Sphenoid bone is one of the most architecturally and functionally intricate bones of skull. It quite literally supports key brain structures, facilitate chewing, guards essential cranial nerves, and shape your eyes. And this was all about sphenoid bone. Hopefully you liked the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.